I was so pleasantly delighted. Honestly, I didn't expect it to be so incredibly wonderful. And I'll tell you what that is all about in just a minute. Welcome to Expitality Time. Expitality means the experience of hospitality, and the experience of hospitality transforms the world. Is that a big statement? Does it seem crazy? Think about it. Conceptually, a transformation includes some type of change. And when we speak of desiring a transformation, we seek to change, to fix, to improve, or heal some element of our lives. We might just want to lose fat, build muscle, transform our body composition, lose debt, add income, and transform our bank account, or lose low energy relationships, build positive, fun relationships with new people, or any number of things. But the process of getting from point A to B includes the action steps that ultimately result in what we then term a transformation. We struggle, then we revel, and then we struggle again in the process. At its core, however, arriving at the transformed state is as simple as allowing that state to exist as a reality in our life. We all just want to feel better. We're asking for a new perspective. It can be a huge thing like dropping an addiction, or it can be a small thing like lifting your mood, helping someone see themselves in a better light, moving them from blah to happy or sad to giggling. So, why do I say this? I was so pleasantly delighted. Honestly, I didn't expect it to be so wonderful. Now, think about this, and I'm going to relate it back to transformation in a moment. But what if you heard that comment or something similar from every person that stepped onto your property? You don't have to be an uber luxurious glamping resort or a Michelin star restaurant. But what if you took what you learned from them and applied one or two things to your own guest experience playbook? This is what causes and initiates and stimulates transformation in your guests. And that is one of the things they're looking for. I have a lot more to say about that because I think it goes way beyond that. But what if it were that simple and that impactful? I've not been to many Michelin star restaurants, but I have had the pleasure of eating at two here in Colorado in the last month. And a couple weeks ago, I had the best inside the US dining experience I have ever had. And though it was a Michelin recommended spot, it does not bear the star. Here are three things that made it absolutely unforgettable and left me thinking about it for a week. And this is what we want for our guests, right? We want them to keep thinking about it and to compare everything else to the experience they had with you, thus inspiring them to return. So here are the three things. The food and ambiance, of course, were excellent. And the person I was with just, he knew how to dine, meaning how and what to order. He was gracious, attentive, and classy. And all of that contributes 99% of the value, I would argue. But here are three things that anyone can do as an experiential hospitality venue that stood out to me above and beyond those obvious elements. Number one, to treat every guest as if who they are really matters. Show genuine interest, listen attentively, and assume the best about their needs and requests. Meaning, don't assume it's going to be a complaint or have a negative vibe about meeting their needs. Always assume that it's going to be a glorious interaction when you are meeting whatever requests they have. Number two, anticipate their every need and then go further to imagine what they desire beyond their needs. And you do this by listening and by being sensitive to each individual's style of communication, not to overdo things. I think in really great restaurants, you'll recognize this as a customer and a guest. I'm sure you've all had this experience where the timing is so imperative, and the overkill versus just the right amount of attention, depending on, like, they really have to read the individual and read the table. So when you're anticipating your guests' every need, you're going further to imagine what they desire by listening, by being sensitive to their style of communication, not overdoing things. In other words, don't over display or virtue signal. Just simply be the brand you promise without flaunting it in a weird way. And number three, share the story with your guests in appropriate ways. I know there's that crazy episode a long time ago from the television series Portlandia about the chicken. I don't know if you've ever seen that, where they go to the restaurant and then they have to make a decision what they want. And then in order to have the chicken, they have to meet the chicken. They have to know the history. They go out and visit the chicken. They know it was well cared for and how it was raised. And I mean, it's really exaggerated and hilarious. So it doesn't have to be that much, but sharing a little about the ranch and how the beef is prepared makes it much easier and much more enjoyable, um, from my perspective, to pay $100 or $150 for a steak. You're just building value through story and through like legitimate narrative. And this is number four. Lastly, even though number four in a three series, lastly, just do whatever it takes to take care of your team. The people who take care of your guests, because they are and always will be your absolute greatest asset. All right, those are my thoughts from the week. I'm Michelle Oliver, your host. Talk About TV. Every Friday is Expitality Time, where I come and share a little bit about my experience with hospitality and how it shapes the way I interact with our business and all of our guests. And I think every moment can be magical. So go out and have a beautiful weekend. It's completely snowing here in Colorado, and it's really beautiful. So wishing you all a beautiful weekend, and go lift up somebody else the way a concierge would at a fine hotel. Lift up someone else's life and you'll feel better for it. Thanks a bunch. Have a beautiful weekend.